And welcome back to another amazing episode of Inboxing. Today we have a very interesting guest who I really just met, and his name is Bogdan Mihalache, and he's in London, and he's been there for 5 years apparently. And I'll let him tell his story, and we'll get into email marketing because that's his thing, and that's my thing, and we love email here at Inboxing. And so, yeah, without any further ado, please welcome Bogdan to Inboxing.
Thank you.
Bogdan,
Thank you.
welcome to Inboxing.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, yeah, without any further ado, yeah, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got your start in email.
Of course, and I'll try and keep it very short and not go too much into detail. But for everyone listening, my name is Bogdan, and my core job right now is email strategist. I own email.com, which is a very small email marketing agency here in London, and I also work in other capacities with a company as a marketing automation expert, handling mostly their CRM as a thing. In terms of how I got into the email industry, I've always been close to the industry. Say, I started working in marketing literally as I finished right after the series of my master's around 5 years ago. And I started working in events, managing marketing companies for trade exhibitions here in the UK. And while that job was always a bit of a 360 marketing, it had a TV advertising, video, print. It was pretty much getting your hands on into a whole 360 of marketing. Email has always been something that I love doing. I remember having to work on our email campaigns and to get previous attendees to register for the event again. And because the email software at the time, it was quite limited, I had to literally pull out the data out of the email software, the CSV data. And I remember going really deep diving into it and trying to segment the data manually and finding out different types of segment. And I was like, all right, cool, these guys are international, let's put them in pod. These guys, they have an interest in technology, let's put them in another pod. And that's kind of how I got my intro into the world of email and segmentation and using data to sort of power your messaging to your audience. And I kept doing that until I sort of upgraded to other email software. Then it was sort of my favorite part of the job, even though I had to manage the entire marketing campaign and partners to the event and all of that. Email was always the thing that really drew me to it, and I loved managing the data side of things. And from that moment, doing that part of the job was most exciting for me, and it's kind of how I started having a passion for email marketing.
All right. Yeah, I'm just wondering if I mean, like, I can't. There was somebody watching a second, but if anyone watching, if you comment if the audio is good, I'm nervous to say like the audio, we're having a problem with the audio because maybe it's just my side, but um, it's just like it's a little choppy. But I don't know if it's just me, so I don't want to like continue the whole episode this way if it's not good. Let me see if I could ping someone to tune in, and um,
Posted a
someone is
few links.
watching. Yeah, I see someone just is watching. So can you tell us if the audio is okay in the comments? Particularly when Bogdan is speaking. And Bogdan, can you talk like just testing, 1, 2, 3 kind of thing?
Yeah, of course. 1, 2, 3. My name is Bogdan. I'm broadcasting live. 1, 2, 3. Is the audio okay on my side?
All right. Yeah, we are live. Yeah, I don't want to open it like the chat window, but no one is commenting. Oh, I can't see. Let me mute. This is what I'll do. I'm muting LinkedIn and going to the thing because we can't see the LinkedIn comments if anyone's commenting on LinkedIn. Yeah, no comments yet. It's weird. I'm seeing myself live in 2 screens now. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. I'm hoping the sound, at least on my side, will get better. But it's
because I can hear you quite chopped as well on my side. So your audio is breaking down. So, but if you hear yourself fine, it might be that the transmission between channels is a bit fuzzy.
So maybe it's my end. You're saying you're hearing me choppy, correct?
Yeah, your audio is like I don't know if you mind, but yeah, it's a choppy.
All right, give me a second. I just want to make sure. Let me see what I can do from here. Yeah, we're definitely using a lot of data. But there's 8 devices connected to the network.
I'll try and quit some of my apps here on my side, just in case.
Okay. Now you sounded good just right now.
Let me just try again. Another test. How do you hear me now? Is it right?
Yeah, it's
1, 2, 3.
fine. I think we're okay. Unknown. All right, let's just see if there's anything. My wife's working. Can't do anything about that. My daughter is on her phone. Okay. All right, that probably helped a lot. So, all right, just killed one of the devices on the network. So, yeah, hopefully, is that better now? Do you notice a difference already?
I can, yeah. I can hear you better. There's more choppy in the audio.
All right, so let's continue and hope it continues to improve as we go. All right.
Sure.
Okay, so what kind of things do you see in the inbox that kind of make you cringe?
Right. Well, the more I worked in the email industry, the more things I started seeing in my inbox every day that I sort of thought, this is not right. And, that's because I think all of us as professionals, we sort of evolve slowly and we better ourselves, and mistakes that we do ourselves, we start seeing in other people and other brands and kind of like start noticing those. Name a few in terms of things that I notice all the time that not necessarily me cringes, they really frustrate me personally. One of the first ones, having worked in e-commerce, and there's a very fundamental strategy usually for most brand e-commerce is, when I subscribe a brand newsletter or just simply join their email list, and there's no welcome email, or even worse, I've a few instances where I join their email list and welcome email arrive 3 days later, along with 2 other emails one after the other. So there's a lot of different mistakes I see out there, and this fully slightly cringy when you spot what these ones. I think another one, which is I see it a lot, and you'd be surprised how often you get this one, when you actually make a purchase for a brand, and the very first time you receive emails from them, so you receive 3 or 4 emails at a time. You get the delivery confirmation, you get the order confirmation, you get an order tracker, and you get a customer thank you email from the founder as well. And then it's 4 at the same time, and you're like, oh, what should I do? And I think that really, really affects customer journey. It's not quite optimized, and you could definitely add some delays in there where they get first time. You could maybe merge delivery confirmation and order confirmation into one, and 1 hour later you send the email from the founder. So it's kind of like these little things that to me really matter. And I think one last one that I actually took a note of earlier is, I'm a fan of creating email for mobile first. And when I say mobile first, I mean literally create your design as if you would create it only for mobile, and working from that way up. So then you sort of like try and optimize after you create the mobile one. And it's things like having each read font and a good layout where the first bit of copy with the first call to action button, they're visible without scrolling on your mobile. And most brands simply do not create emails mobile for the font is huge. You have to scroll a lot just to get to the first bit of information that's actually relevant. And that personally really always makes me really frustrated when I see that, especially with huge brands. Like, I'm not going to name any at the moment, but there's some really, really huge name out there that their email marketing is just poor when it comes to mobile line, when it comes to frequency of email. So to me, that's kind of say, just to name a few, there are some of the top ones that literally make cringe when I see it in my inbox.
All right. So you had a lot of experiences before you started EmailCon just 2 years ago. So what, tell us about that journey. What took you to start that?
Yeah, so a large part of my marketing career has been working as a marketing manager for event companies. And it was awesome. Like I got to work with some of the largest events in the UK and even worldwide as well. I think one of my favorites, I only worked with them for a couple of months, was definitely Festival of Marketing here in London, which is quite well known. I'm not sure if you've ever to attend. And that was actually one of my, I had a goal in my mind when I started working in events. I really would want to work with Festival of Marketing because it was the event they would want to attend in marketing. And I managed to come, and I was actually doing the formation. That was pretty cool. And the whole events experience was incredible, and it reformed my digital marketing skills. And around 2020, I finally had the guts to switch from event and start freelancing email marketing. That's when I started sort of niche down to e-commerce, and that's where Kong was sort of born. It wasn't actually until later in October of last year. The concept of me working as a freelancer and me starting this personal brand, which is Kong, which now obviously is the brand of my agency. That's kind of when it started. And it started with me working Upwork and find e-commerce stores on Upwork, and it was actually pretty incredible. But I managed to reach top rated level on Upwork in around 6 months, and then actually moving back to the present, actually top rate plus, which is I think it's around the top 8% of freelancers in the world. And this day, Upwork is one of my main avenues to find more e-commerce companies to talk to and to help them with email marketing. So that's kind of, to me, it all started in freelancing. I think really now the pandemic that was on us 2 years ago, a lot of people have had the guts to sort of move from what they were doing before to something that had a passion for it. I guess if you look at the statistics, freelancing has absolutely boomed in 2020, and not just freelancing, number of businesses that have been opened in the UK and the US and across the world, number of people that are now freelancing. Just to me, I was part of that sort of boom, and that's kind of how it started for me.
All right, that's really interesting. And I didn't realize, like some agencies were growing, with like these talent, like freelance Fivers of the world and Upwork, and there's so many of them really. But yeah, great stuff. Yeah, so you just said a bit about it. So like, yeah, so you just said it. You generate. You're growing really fast. You said, right? Like in 6 months, you already. What was the word you used?
It was pretty fast. It was top rated. I think like Upwork gives you these badges to sort of differentiate the types of freelancers, how long you've been in the industry, and the client you worked with. And I approached it on always the high quality, and I wouldn't focus on price in the beginning. And I always focus on delivering the highest level of service in email marketing to clients, to all of the e-commerce stores that I was working with. I worked with SaaS companies as well, not just e-commerce. And that really is separated me and helped grow quite fast. And in terms of like more in-depth history of email.com, I had the pleasure of working with some incredible brands at the beginning of the journey. Before email.com was even a thing, I actually worked with a few agencies as well. Some of the UK, one of them was actually in the Netherlands. And personally, that was something that it really propelled my career forward because, I think if I have to tip for anyone that wants to start in email marketing, it would be to join an agency. Like me, it is the best place to start to really learn what does the market for a particular industry mean, because it's different. Email marketing for SaaS is one thing, marketing for e-commerce is a completely different world. And yeah, to make a long story short, email.com was actually only officially instated in October last year. Up till then, to me, it was always about learning, always about joining other agencies and learning from them and joining companies, getting as many clients I can to start sort of to try different things and see what works and what doesn't really form, let's call it a standard strategy that could apply to other e-commerce stores that really works time and time again. So that's sort of how, like, a brief history of e-com.
All right, awesome. Okay, so what was the most surprising thing you've learned about email marketing so far?
It's not really. It was. I think most surprising thing, it was actually a few. I would say more than half a year ago that I realized this, which is that email marketing is not just one job. It can be, but it won't be it won't be a function of your company performing at 100% if you ask me, and it won't have the same impact. Email marketing requires copywriting skills, it requires design skills, it requires technical skills, it requires strategy skills, most of all, which is probably the most important one. I think, and in this last one, actually, can probably include quite a few different areas within it as well. You're talking understanding your online customer journey, which is one thing, and understanding analytic and reporting, understanding data. This is huge, strategy. And lastly, I think so understand conversion optimization. What does that mean? How do you optimize your emails? How do you go past just managing email account and looking past that on your actual journey of your customers on your site? So to me, that was one of the biggest breakthroughs in e-marketing. Is not just one job, it's not just pressing send and campaign. It's a whole department. It can be a whole company, as you can see. The agencies, they have staff that has 50 plus people. It's insane. And I think it's so much more than just job. And to add that, I think that's what a lot of companies, e-commerce in this particular example, and people get it wrong. They undervalue the service. They don't understand what e-marketing is, what you can actually achieve with email marketing, and what goes into it, the amount of hours, the amount of strategy, and the amount of design hours and copywriting hours, and all of that goes into this one little branch of marketing. And yeah, I think it's one of the challenges of growing email agencies as well, because people are not educated in what it means to get e-marketing services and like do company. And I'll just stop it here because I know there's a few more questions where we get into it, but yeah, that's pretty much one of the biggest breakthroughs I had in email marketing.
No, and you're absolutely right. Like it's and that's one of the challenges of growing an agency is really like you can envision your agency with all these skill sets involved, but getting the retainers to cover all that, is not so simple. But hands out to the agencies that are doing it. Yeah, 100%. Hats off. All right. Yeah, I think you might have covered this a little bit already, but what do you love so much about email versus other channels?
Well, sort of move from the previous question. I love its simplicity. I personally love building flow charts and mind maps, visualizing this journey, different types of email flow you can build, the type of filters you can add, and adding data on top of it. So how can you segment the email flows based on that, and just visualizing that on a nice, beautiful flowchart, right? And then to add to that, I love the entire process of delivering email project. You first create the strategy, as I said, like maybe you create or find out the actual brief what you want to achieve. Then you move on copywriting, creating the copywriting, getting done, and working with the copywriter to get a copy that's on brand. Because as an agency or as a freelancer, wherever you work with different types of companies, and you can just buy a copy paste template that you've done before. You can want to start from scratch with all the brands that you're working with. Then moving on to the actual build of the email template, whether you're an agency that wants to build it within Apple provider with blocks, text blocks, and image blocks, and all that, that's fine. I think you can design some beautiful emails with that. Whether you're the type of agency that just creates full JPEG, a beautiful email, and you want to do that, that's fine. Particularly, I'm against that. I think you can make it work. I think, like people say you have deliverability issues if you send all JPEG emails, but I've actually ended up working with some brands that insisted on having full image emails, and we made work. I had to really pin on the segmentation and making sure on sending emails to people that are not going to engage with those specific emails with deliverability issues, but you can make it work. And then really looking at the data to understand what those emails are telling you, how do they perform. So it's a whole journey they have to go through. So I fell in love with the process, and that's kind of what I love most about it.
All right. Awesome. All right. What do you find are the biggest challenges of growing email Kong?
So, as I said, something I learned very recently, and it is, as I mentioned earlier, the part of educating your ideal customers, your clients. What I really found out is that you need to make sure your customer, your client, understands the value of the service that you're providing, right? Some of my best clients are e-commerce owners with a marketing background. they understand concepts of that in e-commerce that most e-commerce owners don't, like, what is a customer journey, what is zero and first party data, and how can that really help me, you're offering as part of your service, but what is that? What does it truly mean to segment your audience? What's a core engaged segment? People that really understand the value in these concepts and what you're offering, those are the ones that are going to end up working with you long term, and you can develop a great relationship with them. But the main challenge of growing an email agency is finding these great clients that understands the problems that they probably don't even know they have. And a solution to that, to kind of, because I'll offer the solution as well, something that has worked for me really well is creating content, finding, choosing a social channel that you want to own, whether that's LinkedIn, whether that's Instagram, whether that's a podcast, and then creating content, delivering value time and time again across different topics, and not hoping, but trying to have the followers of that channel to be your ideal customers, right? They'll see your content once, twice, 3 times. They'll understand concepts that you're explaining in there. So instead of focusing to explain that on a sales pitch, they just consume your content. And then when they're ready to work with you, they'll be ready, and they'll know why they need to work with you. They'll know the problem, and then they'll understand the solution that you're offering a lot better. And this is a concept that I picked up from Chris Walker at Refine Labs. It's this guy I'm following on LinkedIn, and he's absolutely phenomenal. And he talks about the concept of dark social, and how if you really want to succeed at getting really highly qualified clients, is to post content continuously, to use this sort of idea of the pyramid triangle sort of content, where you have one big piece of content, and then you sort of divide it into smaller pieces of content, and then targeting your ideal customers on that specific channel. And then eventually they will want to work with you. They'll send you a message on LinkedIn, they'll send you a DM on Instagram. They will inquire to work with you, and that sale will be a lot easier to close.
All right, that's I'll tell you, I was very impressed with your Instagram account. Like, you're putting out great content. So
I'll try. I try.
Yeah, you really are. So hats off to that. All right. So you have a top 5. There's obviously a million different tips you can give, but what do you say, like, you feel like are like maybe the top 5 things people should keep in mind, or tips?
I was reviewing this this morning, and I was trying to come up with 5, because, as you said, there's quite a few of them. And even when I write blogs, I try not to write 35,000 tips in email marketing. So I really try to niche it down to just the really most important ones. And I think I pretty much found them. The number one for me, and this is something I actually not learned recently, more like started thinking about it recently, it's that you should only learn the fundamentals of email marketing, at least in the beginning, and only apply the fundamentals, and don't overcomplicate it. Some of the most chaotic accounts I've seen out there, and some of the most not so proficient freelancers I've seen out there, they try and innovate the industry with every single client, and they try to build these incredible flows from the very beginning, and it's like, it's not needed. Focus on the fundamentals, setting up your account, build a preference center, create your core engaged segments, make sure you focus on deliverability first when you send email campaigns, and not on revenue. That's it, right? First 3 months, focus on deliverability. Don't try and sell to them. Money will come, but I think that should be the main priority. Did that a few times, optimize, learn from mistakes, and then move on to the difficult stuff. So that's number 1 for me. Number 2 is to not, and this is you'd say this is obviously an obvious one, but I just need to mention it, because even I think last week I've met with an e-commerce store, and they were doing this exact thing, is to not send emails to your entire list. And I have to mention it because, again, a lot of people are doing it. There's so many brands out there that they're damaging their email reputation by continuously sending emails, sell campaigns, blogs, emails from the founder, whatever, surveys. They send it to their entire email list all the time. And what a lot of them don't know is that by doing that, by continuously sending emails to people that probably don't even open or click through your emails over 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time, this will damage your email deliverability, and your emails will start ending up more in the promotions tab, or even worse, in the spam tab. And these people that probably they don't want to hear from you, they'll start reporting your emails as spam, and they'll start unsubscribing. And it's just something you want to avoid. You want to create the impression of low frequency, but actually have a high frequency. So when you look into your email account, you're sending emails every week, but you're not sending emails to the same people. So that will, it will keep your account engaged by applying obviously segmentation. Number 3, and it sort of is the opposite of what I just said, but it does need to be action as well, is to target your inactive customers. Don't give up on them. A lot of people that I see, they don't target their inactive customers. People that have bought from them once and then never engage with them again, they just leave them on the side. They focus on acquisitions and they focus on repeat customers, and they neglect this part of their business. And I think that's a huge mistake. You can definitely do that by doing 2 things, very simple things. Either create win-back campaigns where you target these specific customers with personalized offers, or if you want to automate it and you can invest a bit of more money or a bit more time, creating a win-back flow that automatically targets customers every time they become inactive. Number 4, this is something, again, that I got into last year, and I'm a huge advocate of it, is to focus on zero and first-party data. When a subscriber joins your list, ask them more questions. What do they like, who they are, and use this data to power your future flows and campaigns. I think you can do this thing on 2 potential points during your customer journey, either pre-purchase on sign up or post-purchase right after they purchase from you. And this is mainly just with first-time customers. You can definitely apply it to repeat customers as well, but you have to sort of make it a bit more strategically. And another thing is to make sure that if you sync this data with your email provider, don't, if you send a survey to your customers and you have 25 questions in there, don't sync all of those questions with your email provider. It will end up messy and cluttered. And I've been on that side of things, and I had in Klaviyo, like from Typeform, a whole bunch of things in there that I didn't know what to do with. And it can end up very, very, very cluttered. So definitely just use the ones that you actually intend on using for segmentation. And I think the last one is more of a stereotypical one, is you kind of have to keep learning. We call ourselves email marketing experts, but very few of us, I believe, are actually experts. Like, who knows everything about everything? I think very few of us do that. So, I listen to podcasts every month. I read content on LinkedIn. I buy courses from other competitors of mine or other people in like that are doing the same thing as me, and maybe they've been doing it for longer. They've been doing it better. I'm always trying to better myself, and I think the number 1 mistake you can do in email marketing or in any other sort of area as well is to thinking that you know everything, because that's when you get stuck in your own ways, and that's when you stop growing.
All right, that was a really good 5. So well done on that. All right, so let's go a little future. I usually ask this. What do you think won't change about email in the next 5 years? We say, how do you think email's changing? Let's do both sides of it. What's going to change? What's not going to change?
What's going to change? I think to start on what's going to change, unfortunately for many, we do live in a post iOS 15 world, which it has been talked about time and time again. And to me, reading more and more about it is not necessarily just my own opinion. This is my own opinion that has been formed from, getting knowledge from others as well. It does sort of mark the beginning of the end for the cookie era and third-party data era. And we can already see that I don't know about what you see with some of the stores maybe that you're working with, the companies that you're working with, but we can already see that we can't rely on opens anymore. Like, it does affect metrics, so you kind of have to become clever with it and exclude that from your segments. And and I think focusing on first party and zero party data to better your strategy on email is going to be the main thing that's going to change about email marketing. And as I said before, you can definitely do that by just thinking of new ways of where you can ask your customers more questions. And whether you want to do that with a multi-step pop-up at the very beginning, and you ask them like a few different questions, and then you sync those with your data when you want to do it post-purchase, whether you have like a little survey embedded on your thank you page. There's definitely a lot of ways that you can do that using other sort of integrations with whatever email provider you're using to make sure data is part of your core strategy. I think also what else that I have in here is I also believe that one thing that's also going to change is that email is going to become a more complex function of every single company out there, not just e-commerce. I really believe that more brands will start investing in specific email designers and email technical developers and email copywriters and people that will only be focused on email, because it has such a great potential, and most companies don't know that. I think the question here is, moving towards that era, if more companies will start investing in agencies and they'll outsource that part of the company, or they'll take it in house. They'll put that investment long term to create a standard operating procedure for their email marketing department and how that's going to work moving forward, making it easier for them to hire new staff in the future. So if someone leaves, you already know how that function of your company is working, so it's not going to be that much of a damage to your email strategy. So it's kind of like, what are most brands going to choose, having an agency or doing it in-house? And that's an interesting question about what's not going to change. I think what's not going to change is that, email will continue to be a very, very strong channel for most companies, even if not even stronger than it is currently. I think a lot of brands are looking at email just as a retention channel, but it can be a huge growth factor within your business. And I think that sort of meme, email marketing is dead, will be dead on itself pretty soon, because no one will ever think that. It is here to stay. And I saw a very funny meme the other day where it's kind of like this guy says like, "Oh, email marketing is dead. Now, excuse me, I have to go check my email." And I think that's how it is. Like, we'll continue to read email. It is continuously the number one form of communication for most brands. Even though now we have Slack and other things like that, email will still be a constant in our inbox. That's what's not going to change.
For sure. I mean, like I have on Liz Willits tomorrow. And the way I discovered her, she's an email copywriter. Really, she's a general copywriter, but she definitely knows a thing or two about email. But she, the post that went viral, the first post I saw from her was, but she said, like, she compared it to like people saying like coffee's dead. No one's drinking coffee anymore. It doesn't work. It doesn't even wake you up.
Yeah.
It's just the stupidest thing you've ever heard. So email is obviously really important, and it's growing in importance all the time. And I see that, I've noticed even, I think more, B2B companies are hiring like email managers, and knowing that like their email success is really important in the email channel is a real driver of revenue and of customers. And they can't really just, pick it like a back office boy kind of job. Awesome. All right, we've actually reached the end of the show, and this is just you could just actually someone once gave like 20 minutes on this, but it's your final thoughts, whatever you want to. There's no pressure. It could be 2 minutes, or it could be a minute, or it could be, as long as
I did prepare this one. I think I wanted to have this inspirational final bit, but at the end of the day, whoever wants to find it inspirational or not, as a final thought for everyone listening, I think I see email marketing as an area that more and more people want to get into. More and more agencies are being created every day, and more freelancers. If you look on platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, there's tens and tens and tens of thousands of freelancers offering email marketing services just for e-commerce. So for everyone that wants to get into email marketing, or for everyone that's already doing email marketing, I would have one piece of advice is like, don't try everything at the same time. So to expand on what I just earlier, I would say learn how to progress slowly into the role. Personally, I'm a huge fan of sophisticated email automation. I spend loads of time creating fancy customer journeys and flowcharts for my clients every week. However, I think what most people need to understand is that most of the time, especially at the beginning, sticking to the fundamentals will drive more than, I don't know, 90% of your results, right? And it's really a simple process. And I actually took the time to just put a few bullet points on what I think. Obviously, it's very simplified, but if you follow these steps, I genuinely think you won't fail on setting up an email marketing strategy for an e-commerce stores, for example. I think the very first thing you want to do is to, as I said, make sure you collect data on sign up using some sort of multi-step pop-up software, and use that data to synchronize with your email provider, and use that data to further synchronize it with the other marketing channels that you're using, right? If you can definitely sync your data to Facebook or something like that. Number two is to create your core email flows, right? You don't have to, as I said earlier, I see a lot of people overcomplicating it and trying to innovate the welcome flow or innovate the abandoned checkout flow. But in fact, you don't need to innovate it. If you follow a fundamental strategy of just setting it up correctly, having good copy, great design, making sure that it fits during your customer journey, it will work. So create your welcome flow, your abandoned checkout flow, browse abandonment, customer thank you. These are the ones that I feel will have the most impact in the beginning, on sign up and on purchase. And obviously targeting people that you already have on your email list, which is what the browse abandonment is for. You won't fail if you just set these up correctly. I think the next one is to create your core engage segments. I see a lot of people skip this step as well. They create the flows and they start sending campaigns right away, and they're like, oh, I need to capitalize on my list right away, so I'm sending it to the whole list. Don't do that. Create your engage segments. Make sure you really spend enough time to curate a comprehensive plan for your engage segments. There's definitely a lot of guides out there. There's definitely a lot of people that know how to do this. So spend a bit of time researching. Even if you go on your help desk for your email provider, they will tell you what you need to create. And then if you want to start sending campaigns, as I said earlier, focus with the deliverability in mind, at least in the beginning, right? Be consistent with your campaign schedule and do not send only discounts to your audience. I think I forgot to mention this before, but this is something I see so often. And I used to do it with some of the brands at the beginning, and then I sort of grew out of it because I realized, well, wait a minute, there's other ways to engage your audience than just sending them a discount or creating a sale. And instead, I think you should create a strong content strategy that maybe sort of applies to your whole 360 of marketing. So whatever you share on social media, whatever you share on other channels, make sure you sort of convert that content into email content as well, that sort of keeps your subscribers engaged all year round. And trust me, when they're ready to buy, they will buy. You don't need sell campaigns all the time. And I think that's pretty much it, right? So like if you focus on these, I think there are like 5 or 6 steps, and if you fully control these steps, then you will generate at least a healthy 20% of revenue from email. I can guarantee that. And then after you've set that up, then you can start looking and creating, I don't know, like a week-long sale campaign and adding a bit more complexity to that, or maybe creating a loyalty program or adding more branches to your flows. All of these are great, but they're not needed at the very beginning. So focus on the simple things. And I think last thing I would say in terms of the email attributed revenue, because I see a lot of even agencies really and freelancers out there that promise, I'm going to give you 50% of your revenue from email. Anything above 35% is too much. You're having issues if you're getting more than 40, 35% even of your revenue from email. It means that your top of the funnel you're not acquiring enough customers if more than 40% of your customers are only buying from email. So don't fall into the trap of believing people that are promising you, I'm going to get you 50% of your revenue from email. That is not a good thing. It's a bad thing. So I think if you in the very first, let's say in the first 12 months of hiring someone to manage your email marketing, and they do create all of those core flows, having 20%, it's extremely good. It's good. It's healthy. You don't need more. If you want to do more, and if you want to do a few more advanced stuff, and if you want to increase the frequency of emails up to 35%, I think you're probably in the top 5% of e-commerce stores that are doing email correctly. So that's it for me. Obviously, I focused a lot on e-commerce because that's the episode. There's a lot more things we can talk about on other types of email marketing, but for now, I would say I'll leave you with this.
All right, thank you, and thank you for joining us this morning or this afternoon. Yeah, you're in London right now, right?
I'm in London, yes.
Yeah, so it's the afternoon. Sunny. It's sunny. Sun's bouncing off a window next door, right onto my face. So it's a little blinding, but it's all right. But thank you so much for coming today. I really shared a lot, and a lot of value came out of this. So thank you so much. Stick around. We'll talk in a minute. All right. So thanks again to Bogdan Mihalache or Lake. And thank you all for joining me today. And special shout out to OnGage for all their support. And have a good day, guys. And I'll actually be back later today with Jaina Mystery from Litmus. Check that out. That's at 7:30 Israel time.